I cannot be alone up here, so I will need my panel to join me. So if I can have Georgina, please. And Elin. And Krista. Is Krista joining me as well? Okay, thank you. I will try not to speak so much, but I have to thank you again, Krista, for putting this up in the way, and also for the great actors you have. I forgot that this is a play. I forgot that this was not really happening. I want us to talk about it, as I said. I want to make it quite simple. I have 3 questions. I'm not a very good moderator, and I hope you can behave nicely and let all speak. And when we finish, we will also have time for questions or comments. But I would like to start with you. And the first questions, or the first thing I'd like you to think about, because you are working in completely different fields. You work with legal issues, you are an artist, you are also representing the Sami people. Krista, you work with the theater, but deeply into the thematics. So, if I start with you, Krista, how would you define inclusiveness? What does it mean to be included?
Oh God, this is so difficult. I don't know exactly what to say. I never thought about disability before working on this play. And while working on this play, not only that I discovered disabled people around me, like walking on the street and suddenly seeing people using sign language, or people who were screaming, and I realized that before that, some of them I avoided. I was afraid to see why is that guy screaming and behaving erratically, and others I just didn't look at them. And anyway, I don't know why I feel like saying this now, but while working on this play, so after I finished working, I realized that I was actually disabled. I discovered that I have ADHD and a form of autism, and I feel. Now I understand so many things about my life, and I'm always not sure if I should say that to people, because they would maybe discriminate me. So yeah, that's.
I have several friends with ADHD. They call it a superpower.
Yeah.
Many times. Yeah, but I think it's very nice and brave and good that you share it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I'm happy that I understand what's happening inside my head. So I'm like, whoa.
Exactly. Superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah. Elin, when we talk about being included or being excluded, from your point of view, how would you explain? Oh. Explain.
Well, thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for this piece. It's like, yeah, I'm sitting there and thinking, coming from Sami people, which is a colonized people, like we were never, well, now we are more and more accepted, but our whole culture was tried to get destroyed. They just wanted us to stop being Sami people. They wanted us to be, yeah, like other Norwegians or Swedish people. So for me, I was thinking, oh, like, my problems are so small compared to Luli's. But on the other hand, it's like, you know, we all have a little bit of that. But yeah, I was thinking like I don't have any problems. But yeah, for our people, it's been really hard because we are kind of forced into a system that we are. Yeah, other people are wanting us to be different from us. And that always brings me back to the importance of belonging. Like Luli also, what's missing for her, I felt so strongly, is the somewhere to belong, you know, somewhere where you can just be yourself. And when I was living outside of Sápmi, which is my homeland, I was losing more and more of my culture, and I was at the same time losing more and more of myself. So I wasn't able to actually make decisions for myself that made sense because I didn't know who I was. I didn't know where I was going. So I think the belonging is so important, to actually belong somewhere and to able to express your own voice, to feel included. Yeah, that's what I would say about that now. Thank you.
Yeah, which I think proves very, very well that also you can be Luli. That being not able to be the one you are and not having space to develop who you are. Georgiana, what would you say about being included or excluded, or what is inclusiveness?
Yeah, I think it's very hard to explain this after Luli, and I will start by thank you, Krista, Anda, Joanna, and Alina, and thank you also Norwegian Grants, because finance this. I mean, the whole project, Free to Decide, because this was just one of our part. I think it's very hard, even if we are looking now at the current situation in Romania. Romanian government established 3 years ago that for the next 3 years, which will pass in August, if I'm not wrong, this year, all the persons placed under the guardianship should have the legal decisions reevaluated and receive supported decision-making services or other kind of court decisions. But what's happening actually is that we have no idea how many court decisions have been reevaluated, and we are still receiving calls from people that are asking for help. And we are seeing actually that there is nothing financed within this idea of supported decision making. And what we are seeing actually is that we still have such a huge number of children and adults with intellectual and psychosocial disabilities institutionalized, placed under the guardianship. And there is no control these days on the way that they are receiving services. And actually, we have no idea how they can decide where and with whom to live. And I really like your idea with this lack of, I mean, not just the way of deciding where I would like to live, but I mean, the idea that I'm not free to decide where I can live and how I can live and with whom I should live. So about inclusion, I'm afraid that there is not too much to say, especially about institutionalized children and adults with disabilities. And I will also use this opportunity, just 3 seconds, to say that we are still counting at this moment children that are taking from their families based on the fact that the families are from Roma ethnicity, or they are poor, or they don't know how to read or how to write, and due to the fact that the children have a disability and they need services and the state is not providing these services. And this is the situation in Mureș County in Transylvania.
So it will go on and on. It's very sad.
And unfortunately, I think till we will really decide to allocate money for this, it will continue in this idea. But I think there is also a problem of mentality and of society. We are raised in this culture of human rights abuses, and actually I think we are raised in this idea that we still, I mean, it's such a common idea to see people with disabilities that are placed in institutions. We just heard less than a month ago politicians that said, let's open more social medical units where we should place children in this kind of, I will still call orphanages, even if they have parents. And yeah, I think it's a lack of interest, political interest, lack of culture, but there is also this mentality. We are raised with this idea that people should be hidden.
Is it also that someone is taking money after them, and so they don't have any interest to see them out of the institutions? Because like they really get some money from the state for abusing them, actually.
I mean, the first idea that they are placed in an institution, it's an abuse. They are deprived of their families, if we are discussing about children, and then they are like Luli, raised in this kind of institutions. But yeah, I think already prosecutors prove when, I mean, with all of these criminal investigations for the last 3 years, that it's also a discussion of exploitation and human trafficking for money. But I think now that there is also, how I said it, common sense, like people prefer to put money in institutions because this will come with jobs, with public acquisitions, but also with silence.
I think it leads us back to what I started to say, that yeah, we need a change of people's minds, but what we really need is to understand that it's not we and them. They are us and we are them. So we are part in the society. Try not to estrange so much they who are different. And again, many. We talk here about mental disabilities, but many becomes disabled due to the institutions, due to the lack of hugs, due to the lack of belonging. So as long as this continue in this way, we also continue to produce people who are not necessarily disabled, but they are maltreated. I have question number 2. This is the hardest part, is to control time when we sit and talk about important things. I want to hear an example where you felt discriminated in your particular field of work. Not Luli now, but you Krista, personally. Have you been discriminated in life?
This is so easy for me to give examples as a woman who is a stage director, working in theater, having to coordinate large groups of men. So yeah, I even once I had an older actor, quite famous one, saying that, "Are you married?" "Oh no, because women only have access to God and creation through their man. So if you're not married, you don't understand creation." So stuff like that. So yeah, and at first I was very, very preoccupied. How do I not lose my femininity and still be able to do my job? So yeah.
What about you, Ellen? Have you been discriminated in your
my work?
In your work, yeah.
I don't know actually, because it's like so normal. So it's like, you know, when you're a music artist, you just do your best, and then sometimes you can get something. You know, you don't always know if you're if you're like not accepted to certain things because you're a woman or whatever. But many times I felt like I'm just like the Sami alibi. Like, you know, look at us, we're doing something for the Sami people. Like, yeah, you're also included. You know, that kind of thing, like pity. Like they're pitying me, so they just do it to show off, basically. That happens a lot in Norway. And by the way, yeah, we were talking about it today with Maria. She was telling me that she had discovered that the Scandinavian countries, they have this dark history. They're trying to mask off, like that people don't know that they actually have this really dark history, and they're actually not that good as they look like. And the Sami people are one of those examples, because the Sami people, I would say this was like maybe 1950s and before, up to the 1970s. Sami children were taken from their families and put into boarding schools where they were not allowed to speak Sami. They were like punished because they didn't understand the Scandinavian language, and they were doing like, you know, measuring the skulls, and they were doing all sorts of, yeah. This is something that the Scandinavians have kept a little bit like underground, but now it's coming up, so now more people know about this, and we're. And for me, like personally now, I feel like I'm a very spiritual person, and I wanted to experience to live in a turf hut like my forefathers. They lived in turf huts and lavvos, and I'm not allowed to do that because the government's rules and regulations don't allow me to do that. So I feel really, really disappointed because it would be such a beautiful thing to experience how my forefathers lived before this, before all of this happened. Yeah.
I was when Luli during the play, they said, "This is the voice of Luli." It also reminds me that that the Sami joik, for example, was forbidden. It's the chanting, and the language was forbidden. So in that way, also you were taken, your voice were taken away.
Yes, exactly. So like the clothing I'm wearing today, it's our traditional clothing. This was something they were like the whole villages. They would go down to the shore, and they would throw this on the fire. The hat was especially throwing on the fire, and all the shamans, they were burnt, and the drums with the shamans, they were also burnt, you know. So it's like very, very harsh history there. Yeah.
Yeah, and a real proof of discrimination, I would say. Yeah. What about you, Georgiana? In your work, have you been discriminated or felt discriminated?
No, I mean, in my work, not. I don't remember such things, and probably because I compare what I'm doing with people that we have to represent. It's true that it's that kind of stigma and prejudice, like, because if we are perceiving this like crazy people, then I'm used to be called like she's the crazy woman that will represent crazy people, but I think it's just an honor for us. So, no, I mean, at least I'm free to walk, I'm free to speak still. No, to be honest, I think I really feel I'm grateful and I'm lucky to do what I can do.
I think that that was an excellent bridge to my last question. And that question is, how can art, like in your case, or the work you are doing, serve as a medium for marginalized people? And what kind of responsibility do you have as, let's say, representing, and how can you ensure that the voices that are not heard can be heard?
I think our idea was, and this was following with the theater, another one with an kind of street exposition with pictures that were taken by children and adults with disabilities. It was another project almost 10 years ago. And this idea with the theater came because we are also theater lovers in our office, but also because we are thinking to bring the human rights abuses to another level, like to, I don't know how to call it, it's not the more educated people, but people that usually are not, I don't know, working in this field. And the idea was that maybe our fellows will be more open to follow these discussions and have a little bit more understanding on the issue. But to be honest, I was also saw this in US and in other countries, and I think now it's more present in movies and other theaters, and probably it's also kind of demographic discussions, as we see so many people that age and they might develop dementia, for instance, and we are looking at them like, I know, to our parents or grandparents or even youth people. But I think this is really like a privilege for us to work with people that are making the art.
You want to add, Krista, to this?
I just wanted to say that I admire Jo so much because she impressed me so much with what she's doing. The way the play starts, when they find Luli in a cage, is actually a real scene that happened. I mean, Jo is the other actress, and maybe you should say how you found Valentin Câmpianu in...
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I was not so fancy as Ioana on the stage.
Yeah, so she's basically saving people.
No, I'm not saving
yes, you
people,
are.
no. Yeah. The idea is that, I mean, it's not just me. We have like a number of consultants, and I also have two colleagues here, Valentina and Georgiana, in the room. So it's not by myself. But yeah, on very short, the idea of Valentin Câmpianu is that we follow a news at that moment, 20 years ago, in February 2004. So there was a short news about a scandal in a huge psychiatric hospital in the middle of nowhere, in a village, where almost 100 people died of starvation and hypothermia. And I visited the hospital, and at the end of the visit, it was almost midnight when I found a closed door at the room. And in that room was this young boy, Valentin Câmpianu. He was an orphan. He was abandoned when he was newborn. Then he was infected with HIV, hepatitis, tuberculosis. He was of Roma ethnicity, so he has everything, but also he was unable to speak. Apparently he had this diagnosis of mental retardation, like intellectual or learning disability. And it took them a while to find the key, probably with the idea that I will finally go, because it was midnight, it was cold. And when they opened the door, I found him almost naked and almost dead. And I asked them to call the ambulance. They said they called the ambulance. I came back to Bucharest. And in the morning when I called them, they said that he died at, I don't know, a few hours after I left the hospital. And this was actually the beginning of our work at the Centre for Legal Resources. At that moment, we just started this program a couple of months before. And then with our colleagues, we advocate to find justice for Valentin. But unfortunately, he was placed till the age of 18 under the guardianship of the county council. So the president of the county council was his mother and his father. But when he reached the age of 18, no one think that he should be helped in terms of taking decision where he should be placed. So after 10 years, the European Court of Human Rights from Strasbourg decided that we can represent Valentin Câmpianu, and Romanian state was responsible for his death. And this, I mean, this was also good for our work, but also for the work of other NGOs all over Europe, because we are implementing these days this decision in Romania. And we are also representing other people in the court, using this European Court of Human Rights.
It's admirable, and it's so important. And I think this is, again, what it is about, is that it's about all of us. We have to engage. And one person cannot change everything, but I think the fact that being seen, because I think a big problem is not being seen. So having others that can see, to see for you is a very good place to start. But I also like to ask you, Elin, in Norway, things are changing. Our king said, "I'm sorry." There are. It's cool to be Sami. We say it has. We see much more artists coming out, becoming popular. Seeing the national kufta and the dresses is more common for common Norwegians. But how can you continue? Because it's, as you used your example, that you would like to try to live as your ancestors did. And then it is a system. The Norwegian law system says you need to register on an address in order to, for identity, for all your papers. You need to have an address. And this should be such a simple thing to jump over. I don't think they think that they are excluding by doing it. And I never thought about it until I talked to Elin, and we discussed it, and she told me. How can you, as an artist, in your artistic expressions, contribute to change our minds?
Yeah, this that what you're describing, what's happening in Norway, it's so complex. It's because, for me, I feel like there are certain aspects of the Sami culture which are accepted, specifically the ones that fit into the society as it is. But if we come with new way of thinking, it doesn't fit into the society. So the materialistic things, for example, they can fit into the society. So I can wear this, you know, and my handicraft is accepted, and also the yoik as entertainment, our singing style as entertainment is also very easy to adapt to the society that exists. But I feel that there's still a very crucial part of the Sami culture that is missing, that it is not accepted yet. So it's a very complex question, but only time will tell. You know, the times now are very exciting for the Sami people because it can go two ways. Like it can go very well, or it can just continue the colonization. So that's for the future to tell. But this time in history has very inspired me a lot to focus on the way of thinking of the Sami people, the values, the core values of the Sami people. That we are, as long as we have nature, we will have our culture, because everything in our culture is based on nature. And but also nature is compromised now. They're wanting to build wind turbines and all kinds of things in the nature, so we don't know if we actually have nature. The rivers there's no salmon in the rivers anymore, so it's like it's still like very unsure about the future. But yeah, I'm hopeful, and I feel like when I'm as an artist, I am able to talk to these things in a different way, and art in itself is a way to speak to your feelings and to your soul. It's an expression of your soul, and it hits the audience in a different way. So in a different way than if you would just write documents, you know, and so that's why I think the art is so important. And I see this also with the Sami artists, how much work they're actually doing in producing theaters about the colonism and the music that's made and everything. So it's actually very important. And I was thinking, like, if this play, what if there would be some, you know, politicians here that were actually, you know, that could maybe do something about it, but, you know, because, yeah, I think it's really, really important for artists to say the things that others can't say. So, yeah.
Thank you. I agree. And I guess we, like in the audience, by putting difficult topics on the stage, by presenting cultures that are not so known, people have a chance to feel it and to learn something about it, and hopefully also bring something with them when they leave the theater or the concert venue. Or I promised when we started that we also give a chance to the audience. What I realized is that it's a little bit complicated for me to do that by myself. So I would need some helpers in case we have questions in the audience.
I'm not so sure if I speak too very well in English, but I try to say these things, it's happened for 15 years. I don't see one movies about this kind of, because in this kind of institution, I study sociology and I know more about. In this kind of institution, maybe 5 or 10 people 10 children was died, and this is not acceptable. And I don't see many movies or something like that.
And the one who feel
Maybe for director.
for Krista.
One.
What was the question? Why are there
I
no
want to
movies?
see one movie about
I don't
horror
know.
in this kind of institution.
I don't know, but I want to say that when I started working on this project, I thought, wow, this is going to have such a huge impact. We're going to change something and save someone. And right before it premiered, one of the people from Joe's team told me, what, you think something's going to change? And I was like, come on. And now I'm very, very pessimistic that I don't see anything changing. And but this is why I admire her and her team, because they keep going there and like fighting and visiting those places and trying to change things for the better, even though everything seems against it. So I don't know if a movie would change.
I think, if I may add, there is just, I mean, if I'm not wrong, just started on 3 days or how many days? 1 week. There is at Galateca, if I'm not wrong, no? Exactly. There is now kind of a marathon of actors and artists that are deliver speeches and stories. 500 of them, they are volunteer for the next days in order to raise awareness exactly about these abuses in orphanages. And I think it's not so far from here. So maybe there will be a movie after this. I don't know.
Did we say that everything that happened in the play was real? I mean, it didn't happen to one person, but it's a collection of multiple stories. So everything, absolutely each thing that happened to someone real. I just placed them to be the story of one person. But because at first when we were saying this, after each show, people wouldn't believe it. But and I didn't believe it when I started working on this project. And now I know even more terrible things that are happening now.
I think what I came here, I saw a very, very brief presentation of Luli at some event last year. But now when I saw the whole play and we had the plan for this debate and that we wanted the play to set the stage for an elevated discussion on the small individual person in a bigger system where your weakness or your lack of development is not caused by you, it's caused by others taking the decisions for you. And I think we managed actually to illustrate it, that the saddest thing here is that due to something bigger, something outside of you, something that you don't choose it, you don't have anything to say about it, totally impacts the person you are going to be and take away your chance to be the true you. And human rights is about the right to be who you are and to have space and possibility to develop to the person you are with the limits you have or the possibilities you have. So once more I like to say we can all be Lulis in certain way, but we can also be Georgiana and Krista. We can be the one who see. We can be the one who can see the one that are not seen and to hear the one that don't have the voice. And this is the message I would like to wrap up with. So if you have something you'd like to say in the end.
I just want to thank you, everybody, for coming, and also to, I know it's to Dorica and Dolores and Anna, because they invited us and chose the theater for the Nordic Festival, and of course you for joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope Luli will come on tour in Scandinavia also, because I think these kind of stories happen everywhere, don't they? Yeah. And I just want to, if you're interested in knowing more about Sami culture, I will have a concert tomorrow at this festival, Green Hour. Is it the same? Yeah. Tomorrow, yeah. 9. Okay.
I just hope that I can keep believing that art can change something, and because I'm starting to be afraid. I mean, I'm thinking about my colleagues from the Jewish theater who are right now, they are performing these days guarded by I mean, they got threatened because they are Jewish, so who knows what happens next. We live in a world where human rights seem to be, how do I say it, diminishing, and it's really scary. So I hope that Luli can, I mean, still perform in the following years, because in the world, there is something very weird happening all over the world. So,
believe in art.
Yes. Thank you so much. And it takes a village. We all know that. We need to team up with the good people, which we have done here. And this is something we have to do all the time. Go for the good people, because yes, it is crazy days, but we are many. We are many. So we just stand strong and believe in what we do. And I am sure that we can change and we can move rocks. So let's rock, okay? Thank you.